Hey YouTube, and a special hello to anyone who is here from the Utah Filmmakers and Actors Facebook group. There was a post recently by Sharla Bokikio, I hope I said that right, I had to use Google, and it was about how wonderful the wardrobe and makeup departments are, and one thing I learned from that is that oftentimes they handle continuity, which is something that for the longest time I knew that you had to think about, but I didn't really know that you had someone who would check that until my parents were watching behind the scenes for the movie Timeline. Dang it. I forget his name now, but it has the same actor who played Phantom of the Opera in the more recent musical movie, which is probably 10 years old now. I don't know. But they had someone who was checking continuity, and she had a really good relationship with the director, and I found that pretty cool. And then this post was pretty inspiring, so I wanted to share kind of a few thoughts. These aren't really written down, they're just kind of off the cuff, but there's thoughts that I've accumulated over the years that I think some people will find useful and helpful. And the main title that I'm giving this, that I'm putting it under, is it's not always practical to do everything yourself on a film set. So I'm 28 now, but if we go back at least a decade, or over a decade, when I was 16, probably younger, there was a period where I had the idea in my head that I wanted to do everything on my films and videos all myself, because I have a very visual mind. I'm actually type 1 autistic. And so doing everything myself, like I can see my movie that I'm writing out as a script in my head as a movie before it's made into a film. And or sometimes back then I wasn't even doing scripts, I was just running off of what was in my head, which definitely doesn't work when you're working with multiple people who need to actually know where you're going. You can't tell everything to them and have it work out. However, like, if I was working with myself and only myself, just clone me a bunch of times, well, that'd be easy because I see it in my head. So I'd already know exactly where the lights are. I'd know exactly where everything needed to be to have it be 100% exactly like I see in my head, which obviously didn't always work out because there were budget limitations for myself. I didn't have certain types of cameras. I didn't know how to do certain things. Stuff was beyond me. I don't think you're ever going to see exactly what's in your head on the screen, but being able to do that or get close is really, really cool, and it's been that way for me. And we've had rise to this type of filmmaker for quite a while because the digital age and YouTube and all these free video editing softwares. A shout out to the free video editing software veteran, Windows Movie Maker. I use that a lot. And it's just been really cool, because go back when cameras still used film and that was the main thing. It's expensive. You couldn't just shoot and then delete stuff when you wanted to because you messed up or it didn't work out or you gave up. You spent money on reels of film, and if you messed up, that was it. It was gone. And you'd have to buy more, and there's processing, and it's just become a lot easier for people to do this stuff. And special effects are so much easier. Like Star Trek, they were putting little tiny sequins on pieces of film to make it look all sparkly, like they were teleporting down to an alien planet. And now you just go on your computer and apply a sparkly effect. And it's just so cool. But doing everything yourself isn't really practical for a whole lot of reasons. Back when I was young, one reason I realized is I don't look like different people. So, okay, fine, I'll have to have other people be the actors. But even then, that's not really practical, but there's a middle ground here. Because I know a lot of stuff about filmmaking. I'm not perfect. I've only directed with other people like one short film. Well, kind of two if you count the voiceover acting that I got for A Gummy Bear's Life. And so I don't know the full magnitude of being a director, but I recognize some of it and I've watched videos on it, and it's kind of a tough process. And for me, the biggest thing that I've learned as I've started trying to work with other people, or even just talk with other people about the projects that I'm working on personally that just involve myself, I realized that I need to kind of figure out how to take what's in here and describe it in a way that other people can understand and bring their talent to the table and help me, work on that project and achieve it. And the process of script writing and doing these various things has really taught me a lot. And so I recognize that being a quote-unquote jack of all trades and knowing so much about making a film is good, because when you have smaller budget projects, or like even I'm thinking when I get started making films and stuff again, there will probably be projects where I may or may not pay people, and it'll only be for 1 or 2 hours on a single day, just something quick so that I can actually do something instead of nothing, because I don't have 3 or 4 days and nobody else does for a low budget project. You know, knowing all of these different assets and things is good, because then if you have to, you can cut down on stuff like editing. That's an easy one that I can say, yeah, I'm going to edit this. I like editing. It's fun. Don't have to pay an editor. And I don't think too many people would necessarily complain that I don't have an editor, but there are other positions and things that can be tough and difficult to do yourself while you're also directing, and maybe possibly you're acting, like I did in Airborne Death, or being behind the camera, which is something I want to do some more of, and all these various different things. And so doing it yourself isn't bad. If anyone says that, oh, you don't have this position or that position, you know, don't feel too hard. It can make it a little tougher on them, and that was one of the main points of Sharla's post, is that, you know, just asking people to show up wearing whatever, or not having clear direction, not having someone in the wardrobe department, it can make it a lot tougher. Asking them to just wear makeup the way they usually do, sure. And, you know, thinking about my short projects that'll take 1 or 2 hours to film on a single day, I might honestly not have someone who's in a wardrobe or makeup department, but that's budget constraints, and I'm just trying to be short in some. I'm just trying to do something, and that's what I think a lot of us filmmakers are trying to do, is something. We want to make something. We want to make this idea, but there are so many limitations and budget problems and things that if we wait, it'll take longer between films. We might not be able to make anything, and it's really hard. And that's why it's nice when you have a great community, which the few interactions that I've had with the Utah filmmakers and actors, I mean, it's a large community of people. So you're going to get some people who are good, some people who are bad. It's a big mix. But there's been a lot of really great people there that I'm actually excited to do more work with in the future. And so when you're working with people that you've worked with before, that know you pretty well, that you're friends with, hey, that's, you know, makes it easier and better. And a lot of people encourage, if you're not paying or doing super low budget, just work with your friends. And that's not a bad idea. They're not like professional actors, and, you know, it's nice to have some of those, but we kind of do with what we can in this department here. You know, back to when I was 16 or so, I would have a lot of ideas that were actually pretty good ideas, but then I'd be like, well, I don't have any friends who want to act in this idea. They're not available. And I don't have this prop. I don't have that prop. I can't afford those things. So that idea would go into the recycle bin of my brain, and it would be emptied. Pretty much literally. And even on top of that, I would probably overwrite the space, because when you delete a file, it's not really gone until the computer overwrites it. I would overwrite it. The idea would just be totally gone, and I would do something else, which sometimes was just me making silly faces in front of the camera and uploading that to YouTube. So I've had a lot of great ideas. They just haven't worked, but now I've realized the importance of actually keeping some of these ideas. Even if you might not ever do them, it's good to have a reference. And, you know, I better know how to execute these ideas. And bringing other people to the table can actually be a really big thing. There have been lots of times where, as I've worked on things with other people, as I've had various people review the books that I've been writing and other just stuff, you know, sometimes they say things where I'm like, oh, it's a little too hard or whatever, I don't want to do it. Or my parents would suggest stuff when I was 16 or so, or younger, a little bit older, and I'd be like, I already finished the whole video, too much work to go back, I don't want to redo that. And so having people along the way can help you avoid having to do that, but also, like, I found that a lot of other people have actually great stuff to bring to the table, ideas that I didn't think of. And that's one thing that I definitely want to incorporate into my projects. As people come along, I want to listen to their ideas and expertise, and I'm not going to take every single idea they say, but I want to hear some of what they say, because you can bring great ideas. People will think of things that you didn't think of. They'll be like, oh, wow, that is, yes, let's do that. And it's great. It's a reason that there are a lot of ad-libbed lines that end up staying in movies and other things. And so, you know, if I'm the only one on my project, which sometimes I am, like right now, I'm the only one shooting this video here, you know, you get your idea, you get it as best you can given the resources you have, and it's you and kind of what you want, minus any shortcomings. When you're working with other people, that's not entirely always practical, and bringing their expertise to the table can actually be really helpful and give you ideas that you didn't think of before. Or, they can help make things easy and more practical. I can see people suggesting something that you might not want, but ultimately gets your project done. So it's important to be willing to listen, and that's something that I've been working on for the past several years, and is a really great idea. So just thinking about how, I don't have a lot of money. Saving up is tough. I'm trying to get my studio upstairs finished, and I'm having to scrape together pieces of money here and there as I can. I can see how something like the hair, makeup, and continuity checkers don't make it onto a casting role because, kind of think you can do it yourself. But think about all of the things that you're doing already and how your attention is going to be split, especially if you're being camera operator and director. And this is something where I kind of want to at least have a few projects where I can have a dedicated person for that and step aside. I want to have a project where I'm not behind the camera, even though I love the idea of that and cost savings and being able to get the shots that I want without having to try and describe the complexity to a camera operator. It's going to be good for me to step back and just be a director for one thing and experience what that's like. And then it will be good to, I don't know, maybe someday I'll get an opportunity to camera op for someone else and just be a camera operator and experience that. And so having your attention split is why it's kind of important to have people in various roles, especially continuity checking. I can easily imagine how you're not looking for continuity if you're directing or camera operating or whatever it is. But then I do recognize why people in that department probably get cut really easily. It sounds easy just to say, hey, wear whatever, put on your own makeup kind of a stuff, but I recognize that that's not going to be easy for people. When I filmed Airborne Death, I didn't really think about the wardrobe, and that was something that I don't know, it wasn't something that I had really grasped yet and understood, and the film turned out really good. It's one of my favorite projects to date. I absolutely loved making that. It was fun. But, I didn't really tell people what to bring. So the star of the film, who was my cousin once removed, we ended up finding some shirts and things that I had around the house or that my mom had that she wore a few times here and there. That worked out great. And for the other people that I was working with that I didn't know at all from the Utah filmmakers community, I didn't really say what to wear. I don't remember if it came up in discussion, and they didn't really bring it up, but that was something that I could have done a little better on, I feel. And if I had actually been thinking about it, then I could have said something like this. And being on a really small budget, that's kind of what you have to do. I think about the next big project that I have in my mind that I want to actually save up and pay people someday, and we're talking like $7,000 plus for this, and it's like, having hair, makeup, and continuity checker on there since they're rolled in one, that sounds great. What about wardrobe? Finding clothes, it's just a whole rabbit hole that I'm going to have to go down at some point and figure out what I want to do and the logistics of it, and I'll talk with people about that, and that project will come together someday. And I'm looking forward to having a lot of great people in the community to help and work on and do it. And so for final thoughts, if you're doing something like this, if you're the only person in front of the camera, or maybe you have one other person, there's a lot of great things that can happen. You can make a lot of great stuff work out and do some cool projects. But you have to remember that when you're working with other people, it's a different mentality. And honestly, for me, autism has made that just a little bit difficult. I'm way better at that now than I used to be. But you got to remember, working with other people is very different. Be willing to listen to ideas, take what other people say into account, and weigh the suggestions, and just realize that having other people can be a really great benefit to your project. And so if you can have them, if you can save up the money, do it and hire those people and have them there. Or maybe you're really cheap and you're having people work for free. Some people are fine with that, some people aren't. It's a big heated debate out there that this video isn't necessarily about, but try and have these other people on your project. But ultimately, if it comes to having someone or not having someone on the set, or you not have I was doing so good until that. If my editing software weren't acting up right now, I'd totally edit this video and make it really nice, but So what I was trying to say is, if it comes down to making a movie with a few cast and crew members missing, or not making a movie at all, I say make a movie, because it can be really fun and rewarding, but you need to be really honest with yourself and others that are working with you about the budget and about some of the expectations, and don't expect the best. If you're trying to be some Hollywood big shot who made the next great film, but all you're offering people is pizza, it's not really going to go very great. People aren't really going to have a lot of fun. It's not going to work out. For me and my projects, I just really want them to be great projects where we made something. I know if I end up working with really good people from this community and we work really hard, we can make something great on a really tight budget. And then the best part is, for me, I know that, like, even if we fall short a little bit, it can still be something. Maybe not as great, but still really good. And for me, I made a movie with other people. That's the biggest thing for me that I see counts and will be the most rewarding for me. I'm not striving for everything to be 100% absolutely perfect. We're going to try and make it good. I'm going to try and get the best out of people and get close to it being exactly how I want, but falling short doesn't really matter. And I'm looking forward to working with people in the film community and making some really great projects where, you know, I guess passion project is the right word. But then there are also going to be some projects where I pay people. I'm looking forward to that as well when I can. It's going to be fun and exciting, and I really hope this video helps bring people from both sides of the table to understand and realize a few things. So try and have the various cast and crew and fill in all of the positions. I'm going to try and do that too, but you know, that won't always be possible. So yeah, if any of this sounds really fun or exciting and you want to see more of what I can make as far as films go, you can head over to patreon.com/coolshowsone01 and help me out there. I'm 2 and 5 times cheaper than Disney Plus, and 4 and 5 times cheaper than Disney Plus and Spotify Premium at my lowest tier of $2. But if you can't, I respect that as well. And especially if you're in the local film community and you really want to help and you like this goal and idea, as I start making projects, I'm sure we'll be able to find something that you can help out on. Either way, it's been great. Thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully I inspire people on both sides of the table to have a great, healthy discussion and come together and make films and just work on stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in whatever's next. Bye!